Never have I seen this before. I've been checking the weather up in the Arctic for many, many years, really ever since a child. And we have something totally phenomenal. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. You know, when temperatures get into the low 90s Fahrenheit, that's always exciting when it happens up in the Arctic. We have temperatures going up in some areas to 95 degrees up in the Arctic. This is in northern Canada. We have 90s coming up all the way almost to the coast. This is really intense summer heat. I just want to explain how intense this is. If you happen to be living up there, I'm going to go through some of the airports in just a second. We have the Inuvik Airport. To pronounce the name better, it's Airport Lake Inuvik, I-N-U-V-I-K. That city, we have a high temperature going into the low 90s today, and it just went away on my screen, but that city's up at about 68 degrees north latitude. Inuvik, yeah. We have a high temperature going into the low 90s today, low 90s tomorrow. And this city is at 68 degrees north latitude. If we go through all the computer excuse me, we have sunrise taking place 5:39 a.m. in this city. Sunsets at 12:24 a.m. The elevation's 95 feet. That's 29 meters up. And again, the forecast high in Celsius, 32 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius for both today and tomorrow. We also saw 90s yesterday as well. Let's go through all the forecast models right now. We take you through 5 or 6 models from windy.com. GFS model is forecasting high temperature 91 degrees between the hours of 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., maybe even a little bit before 5 p.m. to a little bit after 7 p.m. Winds will be 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. Temperatures drop off after that. We have the European computer model also forecasting highs in the low 90s, 91 degrees, also occurring 5 o'clock p.m. Winds, however, only 6 miles per hour from the south. That's the difference. A major difference between the GFS and the European computer model is the wind. GFS is showing double the wind speeds. We go over to the ICON computer model. Now, just to tell you a little bit about the ICON computer model, that's a global model which has been developed and operated by the German DWD, and it's one of the most modern forecast models delivering very good results. That comes from windy.com. That's the ICON model. We have a forecast high for today in Inuvik. This is Inuvik, Canada, 95 degrees. That's going to be occurring at 6 o'clock p.m., continuing into 7 p.m. Temperatures remain in the mid-90s at 8 o'clock p.m. I'm going to explain in just a second why it's getting so hot there. I'm going to give you at least a partial explanation, perhaps even more. We have wind speeds coming out of the south over there, 10 miles per hour. Let's go to Meteo Blue. The Meteo Blue model, just to tell you a little bit about that model, that's ensembles of multiple global and local forecast models using, well, it says here artificial intelligence. It was developed by the Swiss company Meteo Blue, and it beats other models regarding temperatures and winds, and excels in alpine areas. This model, it's forecast for today in Inuvik, Canada. Again, mid-90s, just like the ICON model. Temperature 6 o'clock p.m., 94 degrees. Temperatures already 93 degrees by 4 o'clock p.m., remaining in the 90s through 9 o'clock p.m., and that's consistent with the ICON model as well, with temperatures remaining in the 90s all the way through 9 o'clock p.m. Headed into the North American mesoscale model. A lot of people are familiar with that. This one has winds actually coming out of the southeast, but temperatures nonetheless going into the low 90s, reaching 90 degrees by 4 o'clock p.m., 91 degrees, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock p.m. That's very similar to the GFS. In fact, really for the beginning, it's, the North American mesoscale model in certain ways is the GFS at times. Now, we have a new model. This new model, which just popped on windy.com, it popped up in recent weeks. It's called the High Resolution Deterministic Prediction System, HRDPS, and it's run by MSC. This model, 2.5 kilometer model, has high temperatures going into the low 90s. And by the way, this is not the hottest place in Canada. We're going to be going to the hottest place in Canada in just a second. 90 degrees at 5 o'clock p.m. Temperatures remaining in the low 90s through 9 o'clock p.m. And we have the bottom model over here, which it's missing the name, but it is the high resolution rapid refresh model. That model is forecasting highs also going to 90 degrees. So we're going to check AccuWeather in just a second as well. But this is not the hottest spot. So we're going to go to the hottest spot according to the European computer model. And that's going to be taking place in northern Canada at about, northern Canada at about 6 o'clock p.m. or so, where we have temperatures going in this little spot. Temperatures going into the mid 90s. The name of this area, it's also the Inuvik region. And this place is also the Arctic, 68 degrees north latitude as well. It doesn't really tell us exactly the name of the city. It just says Inuvik region. But we also have temperatures going into the mid 90s in this area for tomorrow and Friday. And then temperatures drop into the 60s for Shabbos. We also had highs in the mid 90s yesterday as well. So high temperature today occurring 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. 95 degrees says the European computer model. If we go ahead and we compare forecasts, we look at the GFS model forecasting for this Inuvik region, highs around 90 degrees with a 10 mile per hour wind. European computer model only a 4 or 5 mile per hour wind with highs in the mid 90s. The Icon computer model highs in the low 90s, 93 degrees at about 6 o'clock p.m., but only a 2 mile per hour wind. That's an interesting one because it would be interesting to see what the wet bulb globe temperature is, but realize the humidity is relatively low, so it shouldn't be so bad. Meteo Blue forecasting highs in the low 90s, 92 degrees. North American Mesoscale, 91 degrees. The high resolution high resolution deterministic prediction system is forecasting the same thing as the European computer model with a high of 95 degrees. You have to wonder actually if it looks like the North American Mesoscale model is to the GFS, but the high resolution deterministic prediction system is to the European computer model. It's a higher resolution version of the European computer model. Wow, what an awesome thing to pop up here in windy.com. We never had this before. This is a celebration in itself. 95 degrees, of course. The North American Mesoscale, it's advertised over here, just says the same thing as the GFS. It's a higher resolution model. It only goes a few days out. So we no longer just have a European computer model for medium range. It looks like we have a high resolution rapid refresh model, which was developed, it looks like, by Alaska, because we have Alaska over there. High temperatures going up to 93 degrees today. So we do have models in this area showing that this will be the hot spot. So without reading any forecast discussions, because it's unfortunate that this does not cover an area of the United States in which we would have the merit of being able to read a National Weather Service forecast discussion and go into a thorough look at exactly what's going on. But one thing you notice is that the areas are getting an enormous amount of solar insolation due to just complete sunshine throughout the entire day, because there are no clouds in that area. Sometimes also hurricanes, when they occur on the East Coast, they can produce pockets of intense compression and warming several hundred miles away. I do not know if there's a connection in this case. Just to look at the regarding an upper ridge, whether that is over there or not. If we go over here, we're going to look at the geographic heights, and you go up to at the 500 level over here, and we put on the pressure. We put on the geographical heights, and we get to see that the heat dome, or this upper level ridge, is powerful. It's centered over southern Nevada this evening at 595 decimeters. That's the main heat dome we have right now in the United States. Nothing going anywhere else, really, according to what's being advertised on windy.com. That's where the most serious heat is going to be, where that heat dome is. When you go up into Canada, one would think there should be something similar up there. But it's not clear if there is. They have the geographical heights in that area, 583 decimeter. And actually this afternoon, 586 decimeter. So it peaks at around 586 decimeter. And it's within that area actually we have that area is actually getting up to 587 decimeter, all the way up there, 587 decimeter. So that, along with the very long days, is producing intense heat with highs in the mid-90s. Mid-90s is the temperature. 95 degrees is when you have a wind. The wind will actually make it feel hotter than what it actually is. So there's no relief, even if there's wind. If you're in a city which gets up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 35 degrees Celsius. The significance of this is just that although I have seen temperatures go into the 90s before in the Arctic, I've never seen the European model forecast a high of 95. I've never seen that as part of any forecast. Let's just take a quick look at AccuWeather. There's also a city called Little Chicago, all the way up there, also in the Arctic or near the Arctic, with highs in the 90s today. We're going to go to Inuvik. It's the Northwest Territories of Canada. And AccuWeather, believe it or not, they're forecasting a high of 95. There is a heat warning in effect. AccuWeather advertises this heat warning, which clearly must have been issued by Environmental Canada. Hot temperatures will continue this week. Daytime high temperatures will be between 28 to 34 degrees Celsius. That puts us at highs of 93 according to Environmental Canada. But AccuWeather is going with the European computer model, which also has this higher resolution model, forecasting a high of 95. Overnight lows between 16 to 22 degrees Celsius. 22 degrees Celsius is in the low 70s. 72 degrees, which will not be giving much relief from the heat at all. 16 degrees Celsius remains room temperature in the low 60s. Temperatures will begin to cool down on Friday. Extreme heat, Environmental Canada tells us that extreme heat can affect everyone's health. The health risks are greater for older adults, infants, and young children, pregnant people, people with physical and or mental illnesses, and people with disabilities or mobility issues. Watch for the effects of heat illness, swelling, rash, cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and the worsening of some health conditions. Heat warnings are issued when very high temperatures or humidity conditions are expected to pose an elevated risk of heat illnesses such as heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Please continue to monitor alerts and forecasts issued by Environment Canada. To report severe weather, send an email to, it tells us where to send the email. Drink plenty of water regularly, even before you feel thirsty, to decrease your risk of dehydration. Thirst is not a good indicator of dehydration. Reduce your heat risk. Schedule outdoor activities during the coolest parts of the day. Limit direct sun exposure. Shade yourself by wearing a wide-brimmed breathable hat and or an umbrella. Never leave people, particularly children or pets, inside a parked vehicle. Watch for early signs of heat illnesses, such as feeling unwell, fatigue, thirst, and headache, as these can rapidly evolve into life-threatening emergencies. Move to a cooler environment immediately, such as a shaded or air-conditioned space. When it's hot, eat cool, light meals. Avoid using the oven. Keep your house cool. Turn on your air conditioning if possible. Block the sun by closing curtains or blinds, or relocate to a cooler location, such as a basement or public cooling center. All workers should take regularly scheduled breaks in a cool or shaded space. That comes from Environment Canada. They're forecasting highs in the low 90s. AccuWeather is forecasting highs in the mid 90s for today and for tomorrow. Unbelievable stuff. If anybody wants
Especially
to know,
because it's
if
Canada.
anybody wants to drive there from the Chicago area, according to the Google Maps, it's a 63-hour drive. A 63-hour drive. Google Maps says it's 3,673-mile drive from the Chicago area. And if you're going by bicycle, it's expected to take 14 days. And the place where it has people going is Chief Jim Co. Park. Chief Jim Co. Park. We could see beautiful pictures of this park. Beautiful pictures of the park. Amazingly, you go to Google Maps, you can see a picture of this place. It's on Mackenzie Road. You can see an actual picture of the place in the Arctic that will be seeing highs in the mid-90s today. Highs in the mid-90s. I'm not an expert on trees, but there is trees, there's grass in this area, despite it being in the Arctic. And what should also be pointed out is that we have summer heat going all the way up to the Arctic coast. Not 90-degree heat, but we do have some really warm temperatures going all the way up to the Arctic coast. I've not looked into other parts of the world. For all I know, there could be more dramatic things going on in other parts of the world as well. But thank you for listening. I wish everybody a wonderful day, and stay safe, especially if you're on the East Coast. The word is out that there's lots of flooding, and we again have intense heat. It looks like we have heat occurring again in the desert Southwest. Nothing unusual for that area. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.